My wife wanted a temporary open marriage. Now she's permanently single. Hey, true story. First off, I've got to say your channel has been my therapy for the past couple of months. I stumbled across it one night at 2 a.m., eating leftover pizza straight from the fridge like a raccoon, trying to make sense of my life. I'd been walking around in a fog, wondering how the woman I'd trusted more than anyone could turn into a stranger overnight. Then I clicked on one of your videos, heard a guy tell a story that sounded way too familiar, and thought, oh, I'm not crazy. I'm just married to an idiot. So here I am, Rocky, writing in to share my saga. Grab a coffee or a whiskey. This one's long. The open marriage bomb. My wife, Melissa, and I had been together for 7 years, married for 4. We were the solid couple in our friend group. At least that's what everyone thought. She worked in marketing for a tech company. I ran a small but growing landscaping business. Life wasn't perfect, but we had a rhythm. We had Saturday morning coffee runs, Sunday afternoon hikes, and those stupid little inside jokes that make other couples roll their eyes. Then one night, she came home from work, sat down on the couch, and dropped it like she was reading a grocery list. I think we should have an open marriage, just temporarily. I thought she was joking. I laughed. She didn't. My laugh died faster than a phone battery in the cold. Melissa, what are you talking about? She gave me this rehearsed speech about how we'd gotten comfortable, how she felt like she was missing out, how this was a common thing now and could actually make our marriage stronger. She even threw in, it doesn't have to be forever, just for a few months. Let me tell you something. True story. If your spouse ever suggests an open marriage temporarily, what they're really saying is, I already have someone in mind, and I just want your permission to cheat without the guilt. The colleague. It didn't take long to figure out who someone was. A week later, she left her laptop open while making dinner. She's usually pretty private with it, but she'd been slipping lately. I wasn't snooping, at least not intentionally, but when a chat window with the name Tyler M. popped up on the screen, and I saw the words, "Can't wait for next Friday," in bold, my stomach dropped. I clicked, and there it was, messages going back weeks. Tyler was a colleague from her marketing team, married, 2 kids, the kind of guy who posts shirtless fishing pictures on Facebook even though nobody asked. The texts weren't just flirty, they were explicit. They'd been talking about booking a hotel during some conference next month, and she'd been feeding him details about how she was going to convince me to be okay with it. The temporary open marriage was just a prop in her little play. The no and the silence. When she got back into the living room, I didn't yell. I didn't throw her laptop out the window. I just looked her in the eyes and said, Melissa, the answer is no, and we're done talking. She started to argue, to explain, to say she hadn't done anything yet. I stood up, walked into our bedroom, grabbed a pillow and blanket, and set up camp on the couch. That night, I started what would become full no contact. And let me tell you, it's harder when you're living in the same house, but it can be done. No good morning. No how was your day. No eye contact unless absolutely necessary. We coexisted like 2 strangers in an Airbnb. She got desperate quick, which made her sloppy. Calling the lawyer 2 days later, I met with a divorce attorney. I showed him the messages. He nodded, took notes, and told me exactly what I needed to do to set myself up for a clean break. By the end of the week, I had divorce papers drawn up. I waited for the perfect moment to serve her, because if I had to deal with betrayal, I was at least going to get the satisfaction of a dramatic exit. Revenge mode. See, I've always believed in leaving situations better than I found them, except in cases of betrayal. In those, I believe in leaving them messier than a toddler's art project. Melissa had been bragging to our mutual friends for months about how her marriage was so modern and how she and I had great communication. She'd been building up this fantasy that we were about to explore together, like some bohemian power couple. So I started planting seeds. I accidentally mentioned to one of her closest friends, the one who can't keep a secret to save her life, that I thought Melissa might have feelings for someone at work. Within 48 hours, that rumor went from a whisper to a full-blown soap opera among her friends, co-workers, and even her family. Then came the grand finale. I had her served at her office. Middle of the day, right after their weekly marketing meeting. The look on her face when the process server walked in with the envelope, worth every penny of my lawyer's fee. Collateral damage, and I'm not sorry. Now, you might think that was enough revenge, but I wasn't done. See, Tyler's wife, let's call her Jessica, had a right to know. I got her email from the company directory. Don't ask me how I got access to that. And sent her screenshots of everything. Turns out Jessica wasn't just shocked. She was furious. And she had no problem blowing the whole thing up at their kids' soccer game that weekend. In front of parents, coaches, and half their subdivision. Tyler's life imploded faster than my marriage did. Melissa called me that night screaming about how I'd ruined 2 families. I calmly reminded her, you ruined 2 families. I just made sure nobody missed the show. The crawlback. The divorce moved fast. My lawyer was a bulldog, and since I had proof of her intent to cheat, I came out with more than I expected. Melissa, on the other hand, moved into a tiny apartment and got stuck with most of the debt from a kitchen remodel she'd insisted on doing. A few months later, the messages started. First it was, I miss you. Then it was, we can fix this. Then, I made a huge mistake. I didn't even end up sleeping with him. Which, by the way, I don't believe for a second. She even showed up at my job one afternoon with coffee and my favorite sandwich, trying to talk. I had my guys escort her right back to the parking lot. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just said, Melissa, you asked for temporary. Now you've got permanent. Life after Melissa. It's been about a year now. My business is doing better than ever. I bought a new truck. I'm dating again. Nothing serious yet, but I've met some amazing women who don't see relationships as a choose-your-own-adventure game. Melissa, last I heard, she got laid off. Tyler transferred to another branch. Jessica divorced him and took the kids. And Melissa's temporary open marriage experiment turned into her permanently open schedule because nobody's lining up to wife her up. Sometimes I think about how close I came to saying yes that night, just to keep the peace. And then I remember the look on her face when she got served in front of her whole office, and I sleep like a baby. Thanks for letting me share. True story. If this helps even one guy see the red flags before it's too late, it'll be worth it. Life's good when you take out the trash. Hey, True Story. Rocky here again. Figured I'd give you the sequel you never asked for, but everybody probably needs. Hope you'll get to my story. The last time I wrote, I told you how my then wife, Melissa, asked for a temporary open marriage, and I responded by permanently evicting her from my life. I went no contact, lawyered up, served her in front of her whole office, and gave her front row seats to her own downfall. Well, it's been over a year now, and I've got to tell you, life without her, chef's kiss. The peace and quiet is unreal. Do you know what's amazing about being single after being with a drama factory like Melissa? Silence. There's no one sighing at me from across the couch because I don't want to watch some Netflix series about cheating spouses. Ironic, right? There's no random arguments about why I didn't look excited enough when she bought another overpriced throw pillow. My mornings are mine again. I get up, make my coffee, play with my dog, and start my day without walking on eggshells wondering which version of her I'm going to get. And my bank account, let's just say it's been bulking up now that I'm not funding girls' nights that were probably reconnaissance missions for her next victim. Business is booming. When you're not busy arguing about fake open marriage proposals, you suddenly have a lot more mental energy. My landscaping business has taken off like never before. I picked up 3 new commercial accounts, bought a second work truck, and hired 2 more guys. One of my customers, a retired guy named Walt, actually told me, "Rocky, you seem like you're in a way better mood lately." I didn't have the heart to say, "Yeah, Walt, that's because I'm no longer married to someone who treated fidelity like a seasonal subscription." My social life came back from the dead. While I was married, Melissa slowly cut me off from a lot of my friends. Not directly, but with those passive-aggressive digs anytime I wanted to hang out with them. "Oh, must be nice to have free time," or "Don't you think you should stay in with me instead?" And like an idiot, I went along with it most of the time. Now, I'm back to hitting the golf course on Saturdays, backyard barbecues on Sundays, and spontaneous weeknight poker games. My buddies have been saying they got the old Rocky back, the one who laughs loud, tells dumb jokes, and doesn't have to check his phone every 5 minutes in case his wife is wondering where he is. Dating without the drama. I didn't rush into dating after the divorce, but I'll admit, I've been enjoying myself. I've met women who actually like me for me, not for how much I can provide or how much excitement I can allow into a marriage. And here's the kicker. When you're honest about what you've been through, some women find it refreshing. One even told me, "It's good to know you'll never be the type to agree to an open relationship." I laughed and said, "Sweetheart, if you ever even suggest it, I'll personally drive you back to the streets myself." She thought I was joking. I wasn't. Melissa's new reality. I'd love to say I don't know what she's up to, but small towns have big mouths. Word gets around. She's been bouncing between jobs. Apparently she burned bridges at her old company after things with Tyler imploded. Rumor has it she's on some dating apps, but from what I hear, it's not going great. The last time I accidentally saw her was at the grocery store. She looked like life had been hitting her with the "you played yourself" bat for 12 straight months. She gave me this little smile like she was hoping I'd stop to talk. I just nodded, walked past, and grabbed my cart. I've got more important things to do than chat with a woman who tried to turn our marriage into a side quest. Why I'm glad I sent her back to the streets. When you're in the thick of a bad marriage, you start to think settling is normal. You start thinking, well, maybe this is just how life is. Getting rid of Melissa reminded me that life's too short to live with someone who's just waiting for a hall pass. She wanted temporary freedom. I gave her permanent residency in the streets. In the streets, they don't give out refunds. I'm healthier, wealthier, and happier than I've been in years. And every time I hear about some guy agreeing to an open marriage to save the relationship, I just shake my head. My advice? Don't try to save a sinking ship when she's the one drilling the holes. Thanks again for giving guys like me a place to tell our stories. Feels good knowing there are others out there who've escaped and come out better for it. Stay solid.